Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Monday's edition of your daily market insight video here on November 29th, just a little bit after market close, 4:04 p.m. Eastern time here in Jacksonville to be exact. And today we're going to talk about the NASDAQ leading the bounce effort for the market, a couple of trend gauge changes, and two stocks that are breaking out on not just a daily time frame, but a weekly, meaning it's a little bit of a longer base or a longer breakout. So we're going to look at a couple of those here in just a minute. First, let's talk about what just happened. So like I said, NASDAQ leads the bounce effort, small cap struggle, evidenced by the performance, right? G5 up 0.4%, 0.8 roughly. S&P up 1.3. Q's up a little over 2%. Dow Jones Industrial Average up a little under 0.75%. And mid caps, this is actually green here. I'm just going to change this so you guys can see it. Mid caps up just a little bit, 0.09%. And then the Russell, the big laggard of the day, down about a 5%. As you can see, that is reflected here in the market state as well. So Don had it on pullback on the 26th, so Friday. Today it is moved back to uptrend. We saw the S&P and the Qs bounce, get back above key moving averages. We're going to talk about that. But move back to uptrend with the caveat that mid and small are weak, particularly small caps, which broke out and then have had a brutal washout / sell-off, whatever you want to call it, from being very extended in one of the best looking charts to being the worst looking index by a long shot. So small caps particularly weak. We're going to look at that. We're going to talk about it. The couple small changes to the trend gauge. These green arrows, small green arrows here on market leaders and on short term have been moved back. They were red on Friday. So they were red right in this vicinity. They're now green, moved pointing towards bullish. And that is because we saw really constructive action out of leaders today, bouncing, showing some strength. And then short term, we saw the S&P and the Qs both close over the 21 today, particularly the main focus there, the S&P getting back above the 21. Medium term, we still have this little yellow arrow, and long term, we had to add this small yellow arrow here as well because we've now had the small caps, right? The IWM closed twice below the 200 day. Like I said, went from being extended and one of the best looking to now having its second close under the 200 day there on small caps. So we're going to look at that in just a second. Before we do, let's talk about Revere very quickly. This is me in the middle. If you have any questions regarding this video, send me an email, hunter@revereasset.com. I will happily answer your questions or communicate with you, whatever the case may be. If you're interested in our strategy, what we do, what our investment approach is, what our firm does, please send me an email, send Dan an email. You can email anybody here, Dan, Tim, Merrill, Alex, or Don at revereasset.com. So with all that being said, let's get right into the charts, folks. So we're going to look at the S&P here. So Friday, obviously, we have the new variant of COVID, the gap down, and you can see where we look or how we looked at the end of Friday, well below the 21. Today, we get right back above it. The big thing I'm looking for here on the S&P moving forward as far as a positive is getting back above today's high and getting that first close above the 8-day exponential moving average. Something I do want to highlight, I talked about this with Don and Alex today. You see this 50-day moving average here starting to move up. Now it's through that 450 area on SPY. We should start to see here over the next 2 to 3 weeks if the S&P and the other indices like the Qs can stay up here near their highs, trending higher. We'll see this 50-day start to leave off some of these days back here from the beginning of October pretty soon as well. So that the velocity at which this line slopes upward should increase if the indices can continue to hold up where they're at and if the uptrend can continue to hold up. So S&P back above the 21, less than 3% from the 50 here. The Qs, like we talked about, the leader, they're above the 8-day. They closed slightly below the 21 on Friday, but back above that and the 8-day today, still the most extended, still the best looking of all the indices. It held us the best during the pullback, really, and also on the flip side ended up bouncing the strongest. Now I'm talking about really compared to small caps. Qs and the S&P only pulled back about 3%, 3 to 4% from their highs on this recent pullback. Small caps have pulled back 10% from their recent highs. So the pain has been felt in small caps. So speaking of it, let's go look at it, right? So from 244 down to 220 in a matter of about 3 weeks here. looked like a beautiful breakout on big volume, ended up really just falling apart. Still not really able to get any positive traction to moving in the right direction here. The big positive that I do see from today is not making a lower low. The next thing I'm looking for is getting through those moving averages. And something that you see often when the 8-day exponential, this pink line, becomes resistance, that's typically often, of at least in a shorter term sense, a downtrend. Getting through that 8-day and closing above the 8-day a couple of times would also be a positive that I would be looking for on IWM. Mid caps sitting right on the 50-day, really almost closed spot on the 50-day both days here, Friday and today. So not much going on here with mid caps, but similar to small caps, not making a lower low, not breaking Friday's low, which is going to be important on most stocks and indices. And then DIA, the Dow, living slightly below the 50, but similar to small and mid caps, not making a lower low. So Qs in the S&P, by and large, the best looking of the indices, looking to see these laggards, really small caps and mid caps, and even the Dow to some degree, get back in order, get back above the moving averages. So let's get right into the chart. So I will say this before we do. We did remove the hedge today in Grotection as the S&P got back above the 21. That's our rules. Breaks the 21, we put a hedge in place, got back above it in convincing fashion, closed above it. Took the hedge off today. So let's look at what we added to today, and that is TTD, a position we recently started. Nice relative strength today. Added a small bit to this here as it continues to act very well over this 100 level and staying above the 8-day exponential moving average, up 3% today. You see the RS line looking good here, starting to move back up in the right direction too. Another big liquid name that was strong today, Tesla, continues to be strong, one of the strongest and most liquid names in the market. Well, we also saw the big cap and big tech names do good in general today, right? Microsoft having a good day, I believe up about 2.5%. Amazon having a good day. Adobe also up today, 4%. Google up over 2% today as well. So some of the big cap, big tech names doing well today. And you really saw that in the S&P and the Q's performance today too. So some of those big liquid names doing well. And really you can include these in that big liquid name group as well. Here, this NVIDIA, really, really strong today, up 6%, above average volume. Just phenomenal strength here out of NVIDIA. And then the partner in crime here, AMD, also strong, up about the same 5% roughly. Really, really strong action from these two names. And I noticed over the weekend doing my research report, semiconductors and the semiconductor ETF held up really well last week. So AMBA, even though it is slightly down, it does report earnings pretty soon, also strong today. So semiconductor strong today. DVN, maybe the best of the oil names, acting well today, up about 3%, back above the 8-day exponential after a brutal shakeout here on DVN. Roblox having a good day today, staying above the 8-day exponential, up about 6%. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, coming to life a little bit over the last 24 hours. So Silvergate up 6%. This is the cryptocurrency proxy that is a bank. GBTC, the actual Bitcoin trust itself, up about 6-7% today. And also, like I mentioned, you did have XOP, sorry to say, Devon, DVN, having a good day. That is in the XOP ETF. This also had a big move up today, but ultimately ended up fading as the day went on. Something to pay attention to, getting back above these moving averages, back above today's high. And then XLK was the other big sector winner from the day, up about 2%, 2.5%. So you got technology, oil and gas stronger earlier in the day, didn't finish the strongest. But I want to talk about those two breakouts real quick, and I will be very swift on these. But Pure Storage, a recent gap up that had another gap up above this 29.53 high. Big time relative strength and volume today, up about 7.5%. But really what I want to show you is the longer term look here. So all the way back here to September of 2018, we also have a high that pretty much corresponds to this last one, right? This 29 area, 30 area. So just something to watch here. You can see this very clear horizontal line. Really, you can call it 29, you can call it 30. It's right in that vicinity, but a big breakout on a weekly chart. And then another chart that has a nice look to it, kind of a similar look to it. SQM. This is a fertilizer, a chemical agriculture play, but you can see a similar type of deal here right at the 60 to 64 level roughly, going all the way back to 2017. Getting above this 60 level is going to be a key thing, and can it stay above it and continue and possibly trend higher? Another really important factor here. So two charts that are breaking out not only on a daily, as you can see here with SQM, but on a weekly too. So two interesting names that are kind of a little bit outside of the normal tech plays, or at least, you know, the more common names, the NVIDIAs and Teslas and things like that. So SQM and PSTG, some of the losers from today, pretty self-explanatory as we go through some of these. Just some of the recent leaders not acting as well as others is really all there is to it, and some that continue to be weak. So net down 4% today. You slice them through the 21. This is not the greatest action. Really kind of a brutal and sharp sell-off on this one intraday. Pretty ugly. Didn't recover a ton. Interested to see how this one acts moving forward. Etsy was a laggard for Grow today, down about 3%. XME, one of the lagging sectors today. We saw a lot of steel stocks weak today, even though Nucor is holding up pretty good. It's something we're monitoring. Deere, which was a gap up from earnings a couple of days ago, ended up being weak today. That one hasn't really panned out so well. We've seen the industrials take a big hit with the COVID news as well, not just John Deere, but names like Boeing and the airlines, cruise lines, things of that nature. Bros, a recent high flyer, can't seem to catch its footing, trying to hold up at that 50 level, down about 3% today. A firm which had been showing some nice RS the last 3 days, rejected at that overhead 50 and down about 4% or so today. And a couple more here. Crowd can't get anything going. It's really fallen apart, actually, down about 4% again today. So like I said, some names like NVIDIA, Tesla, AMD acting really well. Those are the strongest. And some of these former leaders like CrowdStrike or Bros or DraftKings, whatever you want to look at, some of those are really falling apart. So leadership, very important to focus on, especially in this market and all markets. But that is going to wrap up today, guys. Like we talked about, NASDAQ led the bounce efforts, a couple of small changes to the trend gauge, and then those two stocks that are breaking out on a daily and a weekly, PSTG, Pure Storage, and SQM. So check those out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope you all have a great week.